Hi everyone, I'm Karen
And I'm May.
and we are from
Boomers to Gen Z.
So today we're going to talk about, you know, we've been brought up to always be nice and say yes, and especially women, right?
Mm.
So how can we say no and be okay with it? So don't go away.
So, Karen, how do you justify whether a situation deserves a no? Is it a feeling? Do you think with your heart or your head?
Oh, I think the definitely with my heart.
So, you follow like intuition, gut
Yeah,
feeling?
correct. I definitely follow my heart. And um, younger days, I definitely am someone who um, have difficulty to say no because I want to please people. I find that it's also kind of our upbringing where it seems like if you say no, you are a bad kid or rude, or that you because in my growing up, we're not so much allowed to speak our mind. Does that make sense? Like we are not supposed to have our own opinion per se, and so it was very difficult to learn how to say no and be okay with it. What about you? What's
I think
your growing up like?
I think growing up hmm, it wasn't I wasn't allowed to say no because that's considered answering back.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't allowed to say anything besides yes, mama. So I think that I was also conditioned in a similar way where like I wasn't really taught that setting a boundary was powerful or that sharing my opinion, nor was I asked how do I feel about it. So it was no opinion at all. It's like you kind of get told what to do and then you do. Um, and that's actually translated a lot into like me as a kid, like even in school. So even if like some kids wanted to play a certain game and I didn't really want to do it, I wouldn't say no. And it's always about hurting the other person's feeling.
Right. Yeah.
Or like if it's simple things, like okay, maybe I have my chicken rice for lunch and then somebody says, oh, can I have some of your chicken? Like I don't actually want to share it, but I'll say yes in that situation. So it has been a long time of not putting my needs first, not listening to myself.
Right.
And only recently, I think there's a lot of this now, right? The power of no. Only recently have I started to realize that there is a power in it, but I still don't know how to use that power.
I am surprised to hear that you being in your 20s, because I just assume that generally the younger generation, which I do find a lot of young people are quite comfortable speaking their mind, having an opinion, and saying no. So I'm quite surprised that you have that issue because definitely when I was growing up, no equates to are you answering back to me, right? And then paf,
Yeah.
smack, and that if I were to speak my mind and I say, oh, I prefer white to black, for instance, then it's like the difference of opinion. I get another smack. So I'm quite surprised.
Yeah, like I don't know. So and then maybe because I was also then like by myself, right? So like it became even harder. I don't know. There's like this dependency on one validation, a need to be liked, a need to be accepted,
Yeah.
and a need to be able to do everything.
Yeah, I think especially for women, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah.
We are so conditioned that we need to please everyone else and be a bit submissive and not have our opinion and all those things. Um, yeah, I think definitely. I suppose, do you think that in your generation, most of your friends are also feeling that?
No, so I think that a lot of the people of my generation, they actually are very comfortable saying no. They really know what they want and they're really going for it because they believe in this whole like new world that nobody else understands. So
Mhm.
their opinion, like the whole like, oh, I know everything.
Right.
The knowledge that the older generation knows is from the past world. So let me guide the way, and
Right.
I'll tell you what is right and wrong. Because
Yeah.
like there's this sense of pride in that.
Right.
Whereas for me, I think I'm caught in the middle because I have responsibilities of someone I'm supposed to be older, and then I'm also from this generation, so I'm kind of torn. I'm like, okay, well, like, yeah, we understand this new world, so we can say no and things are done this way.
Mm.
But at the same time, I need the consistency and security of the older generation.
True.
So like, I feel like we should listen to them maybe, take the
Right.
safer route.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I do admire the younger generation is that, especially the younger female like yourselves and all that, is that um, the they're so comfortable with themselves, and they seem to be able to that they seem to have their own opinion, and they're quite steadfast with what their beliefs are compared to when I was younger. So that is definitely an admiration. But I also seen some young women who are kind of the other end of the spectrum, where they are overly opinionated or overly steadfast, that they do not allow ideas or other people's opinion. So fundamentally is having that balance, right?
Yeah, I think
And
so.
kind of like listening to maybe someone older or another person's advice or opinion, and then kind of finding that middle path and say, okay, what can I do? So my question to you is this: if someone were to ask you something today, and you're in, whether it's a question of your heart or your what was it, head, uh, how, and you don't think that it's the right thing, so what would you generally say if that happens?
I'll just say yes, actually.
You just say yes?
Yeah. So and
Okay.
that has actually gotten me into like a lot of iffy situations. So I'm trying my best now to actually take a step back and maybe say no, or maybe say like, I'm not going to answer.
Oh, okay. I think it's okay that I personally feel that it's sometimes okay to just say, let me think about it.
Yeah, that's the one, right? To
Yeah.
step back and just
Yeah.
buy yourself a bit of time.
Correct. Yeah. Instead of immediately saying yes to something that you might regret saying.
Yeah, so like, okay, like the easiest example for this is like, I do marketing for like a variety of different clients and stuff. And sometimes like when I go to a new client pitch, like a new meeting for a new client, I know my current workload, but I'll still say yes to everything, and I'll be like, okay, we deal with it later, right? Like we gotta make this work. Like we can't lose the business. Like, you gotta level up a bit. But then you turn out disappointing yourself and the client, and things don't work out the way that you wanted it to.
Yeah.
And it just gets you back into like this mess where I should have actually just been honest and been like, right now this is not workable. Maybe in the future this amount of work would be workable, but right now, but and I can't do that. And what I'm starting to realize is that actually when you do that, people respect you more. Like they respect the honesty and the transparency.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Instead of just being yes about everything. And honestly, in that mindset, being quite greedy and not acknowledging your capabilities, your capacity,
Yeah.
and other things in your life. So it's like a limbo, right? It's like, oh, chicken or egg situation. Like I want to grow, but I don't have enough. I cannot reach. I cannot.
Yeah, but you can't. You don't have enough time or
yeah,
the
there's not
resources,
exactly
right?
to do so.
So I think it is true. It's about, as you get older, we should come to some point where we are more comfortable with ourselves, and um, it's understanding and say, maybe in your case, let's say for to the client and say, right now this is all I can cope. Can we just try it out for a couple of weeks? And when my workload starts to ease up a little, then I can help you with this other thing. That could be one way to go about. So that way you're not losing the customer
Yeah.
100%, And I think that person will be more respectful because they say, oh, okay, she wants to be dedicated to my project, and therefore at least she's saying I cannot do so much now, but this is what I can do right now. And also, sometimes, especially in a relationship, um, it's okay to say, especially if it's a more personal relationship, right? You can actually say, no, but and then give an explanation, voice out your concern.
Yeah.
Because I think, especially with loved ones,
Oh, it's so easy for me to say no in my relationship.
yeah, but if you don't give an explanation, you
Yeah.
also hurt that person.
Yeah.
So let's say, give example, let's say, you know I want to eat Thai food, but my husband wants to eat a pizza, and then I'm like, and then I'll go, no, I don't want. But maybe if you explain and say, oh yeah, because I'm just having this craving, and would you want to join? And then tomorrow we'll have your burger or your pizza, that kind of thing. So sometimes the no is really not harsh. It's how you say it, and how you the tonality of it, and say, oh, I am not I'm not feeling too well, I don't really want to go out there today, but let's do that maybe 2 days from now. So it's not a total rejection to the person who's trying to do something special for you. Let's just, example.
I think that like I tend to do a lot better saying no actually in my personal life
Right.
than in my professional life. I don't know what that means. I just realized it when you were saying it because yeah, I can say no to like a loved one.
Do you know why?
No.
Because you know that it's almost an unconditional love.
Mm. Okay. So I feel safe in that relationship.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah. So you feel safe enough that you say, okay, maybe that person's not going to get angry with me. But we are human. At some point, something's gonna give and say, hey, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
And and it's the same, because as a mom, my children would do this to me, or I do that to them, because we have unconditional love between a mother and a child. And so that's why sometimes there's not sometimes, quite frequently, there are a lot more arguments, or because it's just like it's a given that no matter what we say, we'll still be mom and daughter. So
Yeah.
there's no, like, you don't worry about that relationship breaking up. But then again, I mean, it words can hurt, and words can be very damaging to a relationship. So that's why I'm saying you can say no, and you can, but there is ways to go about how you tell that person. And when you appreciate, especially with personal relationship, when you appreciate and you say it in a way where it's not so aggressive, maybe, then it also builds relationship and builds that understanding of, oh, what is he going through, why did he say no, is he going through some stress, that's why he's like, no, I don't want to go. No, is there something that he is going through or she's going through? um, yeah, so this is the power of no. And saying no, especially, of course, we all know about having in terms of a sexual thing, and you say no, of course, that's super powerful, where you are not ready and you do not want to have sex with that person. uh, it's your right, that's your body, and you should be very firm about that, for sure, right?
I think that like protecting your body is the one that we should learn, and like from young I think that's the one that we do learn, like to protect our private parts and any part. But then it's also to realize when people are infiltrating your boundaries in other ways as well, by maybe and saying no in those situations that are not so physical, that you cannot not feel physically anyways, but you feel inside.
Yeah.
But I think that definitely is a power of no, and there's also a power of no like if you remember my New Year's resolution to lose weight, the power of no would be me saying no to myself sometimes. Like, no, May, you can't eat this, or
Yeah.
no, May, you can't order that.
Exactly.
So there's so many ways that no actually benefits us more than yes does. I think that yes was glorified maybe in year
Well,
2000.
I no, I think it's just innately we want to please people, and we and I think, and I say this quite a lot, that is that it's always easier to say yes than it is to say no.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's because human beings want to avoid conflict. They want a easy solution, and therefore they keep saying yes. So it's very easy to say to your child, "Mommy, can I watch TV?" Okay, yes, because you don't have to have that conflict with your child, and then you let him or her watch TV. Or, "Mommy, can I have ice cream, for dinner?" And then you just say yes. Again, you don't want that conflict.
Yeah.
But is it a good thing? Because if the child will become addicted to TV, or the child will become addicted to ice cream and just want to eat ice cream for dinner. So that's not a good thing. So are we as human beings constantly looking for the easier solution instead of saying, no, you can't watch TV now because you have not finished your homework? And taking that time to explain, taking that time to guide your child is a lot more work, obviously. So do we do that because
Agree.
it's easier?
I think that there's definitely a point in that, and I feel guilty for actually doing that a little bit, maybe a bit more than I should. But just saying yes to just kind of shut up the situation, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's something that we do need to be more aware of, because it can really snowball into
Yeah.
things that we can no longer reverse, and then to get yourself out of it, it's just really hard. Like, it feels like you're chained to all of these things that you've said before, and you can't even be like, "Oh, I take it back." Like,
No, you can't.
you can't.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and then you become accountable for something that you probably didn't even want to.
Exactly. I mean, case in point, if you have constantly allowed your child to watch TV for hours and hours, and then you try to change that situation and say no, it's going to be much harder. Instead of taking the time to explain and say, well, I will let you watch if you finish this and everything has been completed. Then let's sit down together and you can watch that show together. And that's something that it's just because the effort to do that initial step is too much, and therefore we as lazy human beings that we are, we take the lazy way out and say, okay, yes, go and do that. So tell me if you agree with me or not. Do leave some comments and subscribe, and let us know what other topics you'd like us to talk about. And as usual,
Everything that we said today was for entertainment purposes only. It's just our opinions. We're just having fun, and we hope to see you next week.